you don't really know who you are or what you are until you put a really big challenge in front of you.
Fear is an asset and ally here to help you be magnificent.
This crazy, silly, stupid idea to run across the Sahara Desert.
You did make it this time, but you said if you didn't make it, you would try again and again.
Everybody's connected to nature, connected to music, to their families, and now we're going to build a world that doesn't have racism and war and starving kids.
I kept telling myself, run at me, and just keep smiling.
Good morning. Hey, how we doing?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Sorry about the delay.
No problem. We're up at Adam, early morning walk club.
Oh man, I love it. Are the streets empty or are they busy?
They're empty. I'm in Stuyvesant Town right now, which is, I'm not sure if people know. I think my listeners know Stuyvesant Town. I'm not sure about your community, but it's kind of like you wouldn't know that you're in the city. It's kind of like a big college campus. It looks like lots of trees, lots of parks, playgrounds everywhere.
Yeah.
There's actually other people out walking their dogs right now. You've got your dog, right?
Yeah, she's being reluctant. We usually go for this one walk, but I was going to try and get her to come on a longer walk. Hey, come here. Come on. Hey, Mia. Here, I'll show you. Let's see if she's being super resistant.
Oh,
Mia.
nice.
Hey, come on.
Oh, look at that.
She's a good pup, but
Yeah.
She's definitely a puppy. Okay, come on, girl.
That's awesome.
Come on. Let's go this way.
So I'm actually recording now, just so you know that. And I don't really ever edit these. I just throw them up. But of course, if there's something you want me to look at, I can do that. I usually start by asking the people that I'm walking with to describe where it is that we're walking so that the people listening can walk around along with us and have that visual. So what's it like up by you?
Yeah, so we live in Fairfield County, Connecticut, which, is like one of the worst counties in terms of being hit by COVID. He's got towns, New Canaan, Westport, Darien, Stamford, and it's beautiful. I grew up here, and it's like any small town in the Northeast, lots of trees. Spring is starting to come in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like 35 degrees.
Yeah, it's a little chilly today.
Yeah.
Feels good.
But the sun's coming out, and I've got my dog Mia with us. So life is good.
That's awesome. It's good to get out, get some fresh air, especially these days. I find more people out now than I did before.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
It's lately it's been people are just excited to get outside, which is totally understandable.
And I got my mask with me just in case.
Good man.
People were asking. I put another video up yesterday. I was like, "Where's your mask?" I have my mask just if I need it. There's no one around me right now, but we gotta take those precautions. Gotta wear the masks. So let's introduce you to everybody. You are the founder of Rhone, but you've been the founder of other things in the past. So can you just introduce yourself, let our members know a little of your backstory?
Yeah, so I've always been a little bit of an entrepreneur. You and I spoke about this. Entrepreneur is just kind of, it's as much a curse as it is a blessing. I was always starting something growing up. And when I was younger, me and my brothers had lemonade stands. I started a summer camp in my parents' backyard for teaching kids how to play sports.
That's awesome.
I forgot to tell my parents about it when they started getting phone calls from other parents being like, "Hey, we hear about your son starting a summer camp." So
that was like my dream is to own a summer camp. Was it a sleepover summer camp or a day camp?
No, just a day camp. It was for kids. The first year we took, it was all boys, so we called it Boys World of Adventure, and we taught them how to play sports basically. So we teach them soccer and kickball, and my parents had a good patch of grass in the backyard, and my brothers were the counselors. Actually, my family loves to tell this story. One of my brothers got up too late and wasn't doing his duty, so I fired him.
So for the kids your age, like you're just like, hey, I'm gonna have all my friends over, or you had like younger kids?
No, we had younger kids. So the first year we took kids ages 3 to 7, and then we realized that 3-year-olds aren't fully potty trained yet.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. My dog is being so reluctant to walk because this is usually like we usually walk as a family, and I think she's like, where is everybody? Come on, girl. So yeah, that first year.
How old were you when you were teaching these 3 to 7-year-olds kickball? Were you like 8 or were you like?
No. I was 15.
Okay.
I was an Eagle Scout, so that's what I told the parents. I was like, look, I'm an Eagle Scout, and I've got my life-saving merit badge and CPR. I can do all it. So I had a couple of my friends. My brothers were the counselors, and the first year I think we had like 10 campers a week. But the camp ran for 8 years, and my brothers ended up taking it up after I graduated high school.
In your backyard, you ran your summer camp for 8 years.
Yeah, and we came to an agreement with my parents because the lawn would just get absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
So we had to take care of it and maintain it, and their deal was we had to take them out to a dinner of their choice. So I remember it was like I couldn't believe I was paying so much for a dinner because they by the end we were generating like 40 grand a summer just teaching these kids how to play sports. And then we would like tack on swimming lessons and other things. And yeah, I paid for my first car out of money that I made from that summer camp. My wife and I have been married 15 years. So we got married really, really young was the point of that. But I bought her engagement ring with money I had saved from the summer camp. So that was like my first real business.
That's incredible. When you said I started a summer camp in my backyard, I was thinking like, oh, he's in middle school. He's like having his friends come over and play, and he's like charging his friends to come over and play for like a summer. And like your parents put the kibosh on that probably pretty quick. You had that for 8 years. You started when you were 15. That's like you're 23 years old and you're still running a summer camp.
Well, I wasn't running it as much as when I left, but then I came back. I went and lived in Italy for a couple of years, doing a mission for my church. And when I came back that summer, my brothers were like, "Hey, we're doing the camp again." I was like, "Oh, I want in." So, yeah, it was a nice little lucrative summer job. And I just love kids. I always have. I grew up in a big family, 6 kids in my family. I'm a middle child. I have.
Where did you grow up? In Fairfield.
I grew up in New Canaan, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have over 55 first cousins. So I just grew up around a lot of kids, and I just enjoyed it. So that was kind of my first thing. And then when I was in college, I wrote a business plan to allow restaurants to receive text message ordering. And this is like, this is pre-iPhone. So the iPhone hadn't come out yet. And I remember we made it to the semifinals of the statewide business planning competition. And the judges were like, this is like, you're saying people are going to use their phone as a wallet? I was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And they were like, no, like that's so insecure. What happens if somebody steals your phone? And I remember being on stage and be like, what happens if somebody steals your wallet?
Yeah, exactly.
And so we ended up getting a little bit of funding to start this business. And we pivoted a couple of years, well, really a year in. and
What
started
year was this,
focusing.
by the way? Just is it like what year is this that you're talking?
It was 2007 that we launched it.
That doesn't sound like that long ago.
To me, it doesn't sound that long ago either. But if you're talking to somebody who's in their 20s, it sounds like a really long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we built this business up. We pivoted into sports stadiums, focusing on doing fulfillment at sports stadiums, because the hard thing was, this was like Seamless existed, but it was called Seamless Web, and it was only a website.
Yep. Yeah.
Grubhub didn't exist yet, so we realized quickly that it was going to be really difficult to grow restaurants and consumers at the same time. So we started focusing on sports stadiums, and that was quite the experience. But my dad worked in sports my whole life. He's an incredible sports executive, and had so he
that's cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of this nice intro into sports, and we started growing that way, but we were still so early. And the problem with sports stadiums at the time is they didn't have high density wireless.
Right.
They were disproportionately likely to have fans with smartphones that would eat up and chew up a lot of data. We were an early iPhone application. Like, I don't know how many iPhone applications have been built yet when we launched our iPhone application, but you couldn't download it in a sports stadium. Anyway, long story short, we built this, and we ended up selling the company and the IP to the 49ers, who then went and built some incredible technology for their stadium, Levi Stadium. So if you go to Levi Stadium and you order food and drinks, it's off the back of this IP that we kind of built. I remember it was getting our first patent.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and so it was a lot of fun, but it was also, at the end, it was a bad result because we just couldn't grow fast enough or generate real revenue at the time. And so ended up selling the business. I was really frustrated because, as an entrepreneur, when you start anything, it's a roller coaster of emotions. Like, one day you feel like, hey, we're going to take over the world. And the next day you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my employees or, and so it's just that roller coaster. I think that's what I've always kind of lived for. It gets me excited, but that was tough. So I started out consulting, and I ended up meeting with an executive that I had pitched at the NFL, and he said, I want you to come interview for this job, this role that I have. So I went, interviewed, and then I ended up joining and running the sponsorship strategy side of new business development at the NFL. And that's where Wow,
and that's cool. I didn't know that.
That's where I was when the idea of Rhone came about. And Rhone wasn't my idea. It was my brother-in-law's idea. And he's my co-founder, and I've got a couple other co-founders. And I just was the only one out of us that had any real entrepreneurial experience. So they're like, oh, you should be the CEO. You should be the one who runs this thing. And the other two initial co-founders both had much more lucrative day jobs than you make at the NFL. So they kept them, and I kept on running it. And here we are 6 years later.
Wow. And so for people who might not know, what is Rhone?
So Rhone is a premium men's, we use the term performance lifestyle brand. And what that means is we make highly technical products for running, for working out, training, but we also make a product that you can wear just for life, whether it's to work, whether it's hanging out with friends. There's been this huge collapsing of categories, both in the men's and women's space, but it's almost like this casualization process, and people are coming to expect the level of performance fabrics that they have in their training and technical gear in their everyday life product. And we're also seeing, you know, some of these classic silhouettes, when you add in, ooh, dude, it's cold. But when you add in some of these technical fabrics into these traditional lifestyle silhouettes, you can build some really unique products. So we make these dress shirts out of Italy using 4-way stretch technology. The dress shirts are like, they will ruin dress shirts for you. And then we're known for one of our pants called the commuter pant, which you can wear to work and hang out with. And yeah, it's been awesome. We've become Equinox's #1 men's brand and Peloton's #1 men's brand. And
Wow.
and we've got, the most incredible thing is just the community that we've been able to build. A really, really good people. You know, we're really trying to elevate what it means to be a brand. We're not just trying to tell you you can lift more weights or run faster or have better performance, but we're trying to say, you know, we're trying to elevate you for whatever your pursuit is. And in some cases that might be being a better father, or better husband, or you know, more active in your community. We're just trying to help outfit you for, you know, for what your life is.
So I have a bunch of Rhone gear, which I mentioned to you, but just let everyone else out there. It's very good quality athletic wear. And I wanted to connect with you for a long time, and our friend Harry Bax just connected us this week.
I love Harry, by the way.
Yeah, big shout out to Harry. What's up, Harry? Hope you're listening to this or watching this. One of the silver linings, if there are any silver linings to this pandemic that we're going through, is that it kind of like makes you finally just do things you've been meaning to do for a long time. So I've been meaning to reach out to you, trying to connect with you for a long time, because I really like what you've built with Rhone. Just connect on an entrepreneur to entrepreneur level. Then I saw what you
likewise.
were doing with
I mean, Charity Miles is so cool. I'm obsessed. I can't stop talking about it since we've been introduced.
Thank you. And actually, and I saw what you were doing with the BXB in response to the coronavirus to help other small businesses come together. And so I was hoping you could share a little bit about that, because that caught my eye. I was like, all right, I got to connect with Nate and learn more about this and hopefully share it with our community. So
yeah,
what's up? You've done a lot on this.
I mean, I think like you, I just believe that you can do, you know, you can do well by doing good. And come on, girl. She is being so stubborn this morning. I, you know, during the early stages of the pandemic, what I was struck by is all of us, you know, we're kind of overcome by fear to a degree. And what happens is when you're struck by fear, you know, you can revert and you know, just your behavior changes. And so what we were seeing is, obviously there was a tightening of wallets and consumer spending. People were losing their jobs. People were afraid of what the future of the economy would look like. And also people were trying to stock up and think about, you know, being home for a couple of months. And so there was this huge shift into what I call lowest common denominator shopping platforms like Amazon and Walmart. Yeah. And I think the scary thing about that is these platforms, and I'm not faulting anyone for shopping there. You know, we shop there. I get it. But these platforms have killed Main Street USA. They're destroyed. And you know, it's not just them. Obviously, e-com has had a big part of it. But you know, the way somebody put this to me the other day is, he's like, there's a beautiful digital Main Street USA that exists now. All of these amazing brands that really care about their product, care about the way that they treat people. You know, 100 years ago, in your local community, you'd know the butcher, you'd know the baker, they would know you. They would want, you know, they'd want to make sure that you had exactly what you needed. And what it's transformed into is, come on, girl. What it's transformed into is is that you now, mass retail it's soulless, and these digital brands are kind of the marriage of scale and that local level where they really care about their customers, and they know people, and they're just trying to do the right thing. So I saw all of these amazing small brands who were getting hit really, really hard. Some categories, down 80, 90%. And they're still donating to COVID-19 relief efforts. Whether they've shifted supply chain to make masks, or, they're making donations to local hospitals. And I just thought this would be better, instead of all of us trying to do this individually, let's go do it collectively, and really stand for something, which is, that we believe in doing better by our teams, by our customers, and by our suppliers. And it's not just about generating a profit; it's about doing better, getting better. And now we've had 120 plus brands join. We're only like 50% fully reported at this point, but over $1 million in impact between the brands. And it's been, the response has been so cool. Adweek and CNBC and NBC News have covered it. And it's been great. And consumers are really responding to it. They want to know brands that they can shop like this. And so it's been a lot of fun.
What does it mean for a brand to join this movement? It's called BXB, right?
Yeah, it's called BrandsxBetter. The X is Brands for Better. But I'm gonna take my pup home. She's I can't tell if she's just too cold or she's just being really stubborn. But
no problem.
So it really is just about brands that stand for being better, that have almost that double bottom line. It's not just about generating profit. We believe in building a great business and a sustainable business, but it's more than that. It's like so many of these brands stood by their employees when mass retailers were cutting them so quickly. We're still paying healthcare benefits for all of our retail employees, and we're committed to doing that. There's just little things like that.
And so what is the commitment that a brand has to make to be a part of BXB, Brands by Better, Brands for Better? Yeah. So right now it's about four things. One, and our mutual friend Dan Cox and Aftershocks, which you're wearing. They're all part of it. So Dan's companies, Metcon and Wealthy, and then Aftershocks are all part of it. Yep.
And so, the commitment is that brands will donate 2% of sales or 10+% of proceeds to a COVID-19 related cause. And they will also give a benefit back to customers during this time. So that could be a site-wide discount. That could be a GWP. It could be kind of anything that gives customers, something that they would appreciate. Come on, girl. Okay.
What's a GWP?
Sorry, a gift with purchase.
Got it. Yeah.
My retail acronyms. Sometimes you don't realize
something for the customer and something for the COVID relief.
Yeah,
You've got
and
128 companies that are part of this so far.
Yep, and then in addition to that, it's about kind of assisting each other. So there's a big Slack group. People are sharing best practices, and by the way, there's a lot of competitors, in the group. Kind of micro competitors with each other, and that's also pretty rewarding to see. Is just, again, people putting those things to the side and trying to help each other.
That's great. That's great. So is there a place that people can go to find out who those brands are and hopefully support those brands when they're making any of their purchasing decisions, that hopefully people eventually be making, or hopefully be making now too?
Yeah, well, I need to get you involved, and we're working on something with Charity Miles, because you're doing a much better job helping me tell this story than I am. Now hopefully I can focus better. But yeah, so people can go to www.brandsxbetter.com, and if you're a brand that's looking to join, there's an application there that you can fill out, so that we can make sure you qualify. And if you're a consumer, what we're trying to do is there's a list of all the brands, but we're going to make it shoppable by category. So we understand that people are tightening their wallets. We understand that people might not be spending money, and we get it. But if you are still shopping, if there's a special event or holiday, or there's everyday products in there, like there's some great skincare brands and deodorants and soaps, things like that. You can go and you can click that category. You can see the brand that is there. It'll take you a little extra time than shopping on Amazon, but you are going to find some brands with amazing souls. I think these lowest common denominator platforms can be really soulless sometimes. And if we don't want to kill the digital Main Street of USA, we really need to make sure many of these brands can survive, because they are going to do everything they can to give back and stay relevant during this time.
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure people can tell, I'm on the East River right now.
Yeah,
Sunrise is coming up over there.
So beautiful.
This is where I run in the mornings. And usually when I'm out here early in the morning, there's not that many people out. But I'm not sure people can tell. There's been like a bunch of people running by. There's way more people out walking and running now than there was, I think, before the pandemic. And so all these new people that have come to this sport, welcome. And if you need some new running gear, if you're a man, check out Rhone. Because you know what?
Thanks, brother.
If you're getting into the sport, you're gonna need to buy some shorts and a shirt. But anyway, what I also wanted to ask you just about your entrepreneur's mindset and like how you've been experiencing this as an entrepreneur. Like, how has this affected your business? What do you either advice that you have for other entrepreneurs like me, or things that you wish that other maybe non-entrepreneurs might know from your perspective about what it's like to be going through this as a small business owner? What do you wish people out there knew about the perspective, what you're going through right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really tough. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and I don't think it's dissimilar than most people. On some days, we're part of the lucky ones. Like our family's safe, everybody is safe, and that makes us lucky and fortunate that we're not being directly impacted. We certainly know people in our inner circle that have had COVID or are currently getting over it. Thankfully, nobody's passed from it that we know. But it's been this roller coaster of emotions of, fear and concern and also enjoyment and understanding that this is a special time to get to be with our family members. But, as a business owner, I will tell you, in all of your scenario planning that you do for any business, you never plan on 3 months of a channel just going dark, going to zero. And we're not just talking about 3 months, we're talking about 3 months plus a huge overhang. We have 5 retail stores. They're all closed. The landlords in many cases are still asking for rent. And then, places that we sell on a wholesale level, they're also closed. And thankfully, we're a lucky company that the vast majority of our revenue is e-com derived. So we're still shipping and, we're still able to maintain a business. But we've had to make changes to our team, which has been really painful. I took a big pay cut. My co-founder took a pay cut. And we asked our team collectively to share in that, and we asked for everybody to take a 10% pay cut so that we didn't have to let go as many people, and the encouragement and support and energy that we've had during this time has just absolutely blown away my expectations. And so, right now what I feel is I feel hope. And it reminds me of that great line in Shawshank Redemption when he says, hope is a great thing, Red. It might be one of the best things, right?
Huh.
And I think that's what we can do right now is let's look at history relative to what our country has faced in times of past. This is something we can and will overcome. This is something that we must overcome economically, but whatever it is, as an entrepreneur, I just kind of approach it with this creative energy that entrepreneurs are creators. I was talking last night to a man that I grew up with, who was kind of a mentor to me, who built 2 airlines, 3 airlines.
Wow.
His name's he co-founded JetBlue,
Huh.
or he founded JetBlue. David Neeleman is his name, and I'll leave economics aside, but imagine what's happened to him economically. He owns 2 international airlines right now, and the level of bailouts from these countries is nowhere near what the U.S. is doing. And this is a guy who's probably had 80 to 90% of his wealth evaporated overnight, and yet he was in great spirits. He's like, look, we'll be creative, we'll find a way to get through this, and there will be future opportunities. He had not missed a beat. And I think what I'm feeling right now is I feel a lot of creative energy to keep creating, and that's why I'm so excited about BrandsxBetter. Is I just think there's something special here, and hopefully it's something that lasts, about binding together, sharing best practices. And I just really love this idea of going and building a digital Main Street that hopefully can compete and can keep the soul of brands alive, because I think it's really, really important.
I love that. I totally agree with you about that creative energy. Like, this pandemic sucks in a million different ways. So I always feel like I need to qualify anything positive I'm going to say with acknowledging that the pandemic sucks. But
Right.
it's, I think that it's good to get shaken up. I think it's good because it forces you, that's what you need to be creative. And that's what you need for flow, is something that's out of the ordinary, that forces you to get out of the ordinary, that throws something at you that you need to be creative. That's where, like, the real creativity can come from. Like, even, I've said this before, it's like a very small example. It's like this podcast. I was always so rigid in having to do it in person with people that I missed a lot of really great opportunities because I couldn't travel to meet them, or
Right.
And it would take forever to get a good episode. But, just being shaken up and being forced to say, all right, well, how am I going to do this digitally? And, like, all right, we're going to do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
I can see you one day, we're doing a podcast the next, like, and just getting to know each other in, like, these different ways, getting to collaborate in different ways, getting to see opportunities that you didn't see before, or I didn't see before, because I was set in one direction.
It really opens up your mind in a really incredible way. Necessity is the mother of invention, as the line goes, and there's so much truth to that. And it is horrific what people have gone through, and knowing families that have been impacted. It's, and these frontline medical workers, man alive. My brother-in-law, he's an anesthesiologist. It's just tough, but I do think that the way I've seen people rise to the occasion, just people being really, really good humans, doing good things, trying to be good neighbors. I volunteer to teach this class of high school students when that's been canceled. We're meeting twice a week on Zoom now, and it was somebody's birthday, this 15-year-old birthday last night, and I asked them at the beginning of the year what they wanted for their birthdays, and she had said chocolate chip cookies. So last night I texted her dad and I said, hey, do you mind if we bring some chocolate chip cookies by? We put the chocolate chip cookies down, held up a sign, kept our social distance, saying happy birthday. And, I just think little things like that.
Yep.
We had somebody show up and do a social distance dance party in our front lawn.
Huh.
They just parked their car, they turned on some music, and the creative spirit of just finding ways to reach people, do good by your neighbors, trying to serve other people. You think about every impact this country has faced. After World War I and the Spanish flu, you had the Roaring 1920s.
Yeah.
And you think about, the recovery after the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, the baby boomers came, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there will be a great period after this. And I don't know how long this is going to last. And I don't think either of us want to be the ones to take that crack. But I do know that hope is always a good thing. We should always retain hope. We should always try to move forward. And we should never, ever stop trying to help each other, because that really does matter. Those small incremental tasks that we can do to help each other, whether it's a kind word, whether it's a gesture, whether it's a wave, whether it's doing these meetings by Zoom. I feel privileged to know you and that you were kind enough to ask me to do this with you, even though I've, got the wind roaring in my ears, and it's not perfect, but it's something.
Yeah, doesn't need to be perfect. So I hope when we do recover, when we do come out of this, that we don't forget, and that we maintain this appreciation for all these small things that you mentioned, that people still go out of their way to deliver the cookies for someone's birthday, and all these things, people out walking on the river that were never walking here before.
Right.
Or maintain that sense of appreciation.
Or spend that extra time, with your family, because it has, I've had meetings where I've gone on walks, Zoom meetings like this, just doing this, but as a meeting. And the barriers of understanding and acceptance are down, that you can take these risks, you can try these things.
Yeah.
And it's so, I think it's beautiful. I'm actually really impressed with how well people have, jobs that people can work from home, how well people have adapted to that. And then we have 3 kids on 3 different e-learning platforms.
Wow.
But, people have just done such a great job adapting and making the best of it. And before we kind of rush back to a sense of normalcy, we should kind of ask ourselves, what do we want to bring from this period back to that sense of normal and create a new normal?
Exactly. I've been asking myself that a lot lately. There's a lot that I don't want to return to normal.
Right.
There's a lot from this that I want to make sure that we continue. So Nate, thank you. This has been a great walk. There's a lot of good wisdom in here, and I hope that our members have enjoyed this as much as I have. Looks like a beautiful day up there. If you want to, where can people go again, just to learn a little bit more about Rhone and BrandsxBetter?
Yeah, so it's Rhone.com, RHONE.com. And, we totally appreciate anybody who's shopping right now, and makes a big difference to our company, to our people. And BrandsxBetter is BrandsxBetter.com. And you can follow Brands for Better on social media, BrandsxBetter, and Rhone is just at Rhone.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm just going to real quick here. This river. Dude. That's the other thing. I never did podcasts with video before. Now I got video for my podcast.
And how much more do you care about that great city? I love New York. I love New York. I think about you guys in the city every single day, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, look forward to maybe doing this in person.
Me too. Thanks for making the time, Gene.
Thank you. Thanks everyone out there for walking and running with us. Every mile matters. Bye.